Dear friends, this is the lecture number 2 of current electricity, third chapter of your NCERT book. So let's first discuss two questions I have asked you. I had asked two questions at the end of the first lecture. What are the first question? Drift velocity is very slow, of the order of 1 millimeter per second. But current travels so fast. I am explaining the question now to you. This is the conductor. Suppose switch is here. Here is the switch. Okay, switch is here. Power is supplied from outside. We are not bothered about power supply. Power supply. Now this is your electric bulb. This is the electric bulb. So when switch is on, electron take a lot of time to reach at the bulb, because I have told you drift speed is 1 millimeter per second. You will see this much distance, it is how much millimeter, then you will calculate the time. It will be around 4 or 5 minutes the electron will take to reach at the bulb, because drift velocity is very small. When you do switch on, electron take 4 or 5 minutes to reach at the bulb, but this doesn't happen when the switch is on. Immediately the bulb glows. My question was this: though drift speed is very slow, but how current travels so fast? Why this question comes here? Because of one misconception in your mind. Sometimes you think, yes, it is true, drift speed is small, but how current travels so fast? Current should travel very slow also. The bulb should glow after some time. But how this happens? The previous wrong thing comes to your mind. Why? Because you think the conductor like this. I have taken one mechanical analogy to it for you, because electron motion you can't able to see. I have taken one mechanical analogy. You sometimes think your conductor like this. Like this means completely empty. Sometimes you think like this. Nothing is inside it. This type of misunderstanding, misconception comes to your mind. So then what happened? What wrong thing will happen? Then you think here, suppose I am taking now, you see, I am taking one pink color ping pong bulb, or this play the role of electron today. Okay, so if this is the conductor as per your thinking, when switch is on, switch is here is the switch, and here is the bulb, and now when the switch is on, the electron, now see, will start motion from here. Drift speed is very less, so electron will move very slowly from this point. Now you see the electron is moving at a very slow rate. Now this electron is moving at a very slow rate. Okay, 1 millimeter per second. See, this electron is going at a very small rate, 1 millimeter per second. When it go at a very slow rate, 1 millimeter per second, to reach at the bulb, it will take some minute it will take. Okay, so when the ball is going very slowly, now it takes some time to reach at the bulb. You see, now the electron reach at the bulb after some minutes, some time. Now the ball will go. This is your thinking. When switch is on, electron start motion from here. It takes some time to reach at this point. So take some time, some minutes now as per this distance, but in your house the distance is more. It will take some hours to reach at this point. Now the bulb will go. But does it happen? No. The bulb glows immediately. How? How the bulb glows immediately? Because your conductor is not actually like this. I am now going to the right point. The conductor is not like this, means your conductor is not hollow. Your conductor is not completely empty. Then how your conductor looks like? Now you see in your conductor there are large number of free electrons. You see large number of free electrons are there in your conductor. So if you take a copper conductor, 10 to the power 29 free electrons are there per meter cube. The density of a copper, the free electron density of copper, 10 to the power 29. It is like this. It is full of, see, this is full of electrons like this. So when electric field, when the switch is on, immediately from this point, from this cross section to this last cross section, immediately electric field is set up throughout the conductor. See, this is the situation of a conductor. Can you mark? This is the situation of a conductor. This is the actual situation of a conductor. Full of free electrons. In copper, 10 to the power 29 free electrons per meter cube. Can you imagine how many number of free electrons are there? Okay, this is the actual situation of a conductor. Large number of free electrons are there, but not like your ping pong ball at rest. They are moving in rapid random motion. Okay, not like this. Just I am taking one mechanical analogy to explain you, but don't keep in mind just like the ping pong ball they are at rest. No, they are moving, but full of electron your conductor is now. But when switch is on, from this point to this point, you see now when switch is on, electric field is set up at every cross section, everywhere from this cross section to this cross section. Electric field is set up everywhere. When electric field is set up everywhere, at every cross section force act on electron, and at every cross section electrons start moving. So you should not be bothered about this electron which enter. Should not be bothered about this electron. It's true. This now pink electron will take some minute to reach at this point, to reach at the bulb. It's true. It takes some minute to reach at the bulb. But why you are bothered about this pink electron? Already electron is here. Already electron is at the bulb. Electron is everywhere throughout the conductor. Why you are bothered about only this pink electron? When electric field is set up, at every cross section electrons start moving. And current pass at every cross section. Immediately when the switch is on, at every cross section current pass. So you should not be bothered about this pink electron that when it will reach at the ball will glow. Not like that. Because already electrons are here also near the ball throughout the conductor. Now see what happened. If I do the switch on, potential difference set up. Now at every cross section ball start moving and it will take time to reach. But I told you don't bother about this pink electron. Now at every cross section electrons are there. Now you see switch is on. Now you see immediately when switch is on how the electrons now start moving. Now mark this point, mark this cross section to this side. Okay. Also mark to your pink ball when it will reach at this cross section. Okay. So now you see switch is on. Immediately what happens? You see one ball. Now you see your pink electron. It will take time to reach this one. This one, your pink one, it will take time to reach here. But you should not be bothered about the last electron. You should not be bothered about the electron which start the motion from the switch. Because everywhere electrons are there. Then what is the final answer? You will write in your exams if this question will come. Why? Drift velocity is small, but how current travels so fast? Means there are two speeds. One is drift velocity, one is current velocity. Don't confuse, don't mix the two velocities. Drift velocity is very slow, of the order of 1 millimeter per second. But current velocity is very large, of the order of 3 into 10 to the power 8 equal to speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Then there are two different velocities. So, what final answer you will write in the exam? Why this happens? Because electric field is set up throughout the conductor and electrons start moving at every cross section. So current travel very fast though drift speed is very small. This one sentence you can write the answer. Okay, so now we go to our today's class. The relation between, we will derive the relation between current and drift velocity. Current and drift velocity. We will derive the relation. In the previous class, we have derived the expression for drift velocity, but today we will derive the relation between current and drift velocity. So let's take one conductor. This comes as a 2 marks or 3 marks derivation in exam. Let's take one conductor. Cross section 1, this is cross section 2. Okay, cross section 1, cross section 2. So let's take A is equal to area of cross section. While doing a derivation, you have to specify the symbols what you are using. So A is the area of cross section, small n you take. Free electron density means number of electrons per unit volume, which I told you 10 to the power 29 per meter cube in copper. So then you know is charge of electron and Vd is equal to drift velocity. I am going to derive the relation between current and drift velocity. If I will find the expression of current, then automatically the drift velocity will come in that expression. Let's do. How will find? Mark the cross section 1. Let's come to the definition of current. Amount of charge flows per unit time. This is the definition of current. How much amount of charge flows? Let's say this cross section. Cross section 1. For some time, let's do your stopwatch on. Let's do the counting. Start the counting. Potential difference switch is on now. Only look to the cross section 1 I told you. Okay. When 1 electron enter, 1 count. 2 electron, 2 count. 3 electron, 3 count. Like this electrons enter through this cross section. Suppose for a specified time you take suppose 5 seconds or 10 seconds or t second. How many electrons enter through this? Suppose capital N number of electrons enter through this. Then what is the charge? Ne. If N number of electrons passes through this cross section, then the charge flows is equal to Ne divided by time. But the problem is here. How many electrons passes through this cross section in time t? How can you know that? How can you find that? How many electrons passes through this cross section in time t? How can you know that? Okay. Again, I am showing you once that's a small activity you see here. This is your conductor. This is not empty. This is full of electron now. This is the cross section 1. This is the cross section 2. Let's take now one ball. Suppose I am taking now one. This is your yellow color ping pong ball. This is your yellow electron. When switch is on, this electron first enter. When switch is on, time start, counting now start. This electron first enter. Okay, it move very slowly. After some time it reaches here because drift velocity is very less. In front of it more electrons are there, but we are not bothered about the electrons which are present in front of this. For this I have taken it like this. Okay, don't keep in mind this is hollow. Just before sir told the conductor is not hollow, not completely empty of electron, but sir is taking like this. No, electrons are here, but I am not bothered about those electrons. They are not required for us because our consideration is this cross section. Through this cross section, how many electrons passes in t second? In t second, how many electrons passes? When stopwatch on, now one electron enter. Okay, now stopwatch. In stopwatch the time is running. After that again what happened? Another electron enter. Let's take another electron. Suppose this one. Just following it. Okay, now time is running. Again, another electron enter. See, time is now running. Okay, then another electron enter. So like this, one by one, back to back. Now electrons are entering through this cross section, and time is now running. Okay, our counting is not stopped. Time is now running. One by one, electrons are entering through this cross section. You see, one by one, now they are entering. Here. So like this, electrons will enter through this cross section. Then what will happen? When the yellow electron will reach at this end, it takes some time. How much time it take to reach? T second. In T second it will take time. Now you do the switch. Now your stopwatch comes to pause. Okay. Now time T is there. When time T is there, now electrons will enter through this. Time T is over. Then what happened? Finally one electron enter through this. Okay. Now what happens to the situation? How many electrons passes through this cross section? How many electrons passes through this cross section? In time T, the number of electrons passes through this cross section is equal to the total number of electrons present within this volume. Can you now mark my sentence? Try to understand each word of my sentence now. This yellow electron enter first. Then just following it back to back, one electron enter. One electron enter through this. Okay. So in time, when the time becomes T, the last electron enter is this one. Okay, this one. The last electron enter is this one. This is the last electron enter. Okay, this is here. It enter, and this yellow is here. It reach. When time T arrive, then it reach at this point. Okay. Then other electrons which enter through this cross section will present just back to back to the yellow electron. So how many electrons are entered through this cross section? Equal to the number of electrons at present within this volume, within the volume between this yellow electron and this last electron. How many electrons are there in between them? That is equal to the number of electrons passes through this cross section. Okay, now you see this one. Our problem is to calculate how many electrons passes through this cross section in time T. So this was the first is the yellow electron enter. After time T it reaches here. It takes time to reach from this point to this point. After time T it reaches here. Okay, then more and more electrons enter through this cross section, and they remain back to back, and when the time is over, then here we stop. Then the electrons get trapped within this. So how many electrons enter through this cross section is equal to number of electrons present within this volume. Because I know each at this point. Within this volume, how many electrons are there? That much number of electrons passes through this cross section in time T. So we will calculate how many electrons passes, how many electrons are there within that volume. How many electrons are there? Let's see. Within that volume, let's find the volume first. From this to this, what is the distance? It's a cylinder. What is the distance? Speed is Vd. Time to move from this point to this point is T. Then what is the distance? Vdt. Distance is equal to speed into time. What is the cross section? A is the cross section. I have told you A is the cross section. Then what is the volume? So volume is equal to A Vdt. So this is the volume. Area of a cross section into distance. This is the volume of this conductor bounded between two cross sections 1 and 2. Okay. So, if this is the volume, how many electrons are present there within that volume? Total number of electrons present. Total number of electrons present within that volume is equal to, so electron density is small a. So volume, this is the electron density into volume. electron density into volume. So this is the total number of electrons present within this volume. And how many electrons are present within that volume? That much number of electrons passes through the cross section 1. I have told you, I just before explained you how many electrons present within that volume. That is equal to the total number of electrons passes through the cross section 1. They remain back to back and packed within that volume. Okay. So this is the n now. Then you can put here. So in place of n, because this is the number of electrons passes, Na VDT in time t. So into E by T. So now T cancel. Then what is the expression of current here? I is equal to C Na VDE. So this is the expression of current. Automatically drift velocity now come in that expression. So these are the constants. So E is always constant charge of electron. This is constant for a particular conductor. Area of process is constant, and this is constant. Small n is free electron density. It is constant for a particular material. Can you mark the difference between material and a conductor? Material means suppose it is copper. You can take any type of conductor, any shape of conductor from copper. You can take a very thick conductor like a pole. You can take a copper in form of a needle. Okay, needle, very thin one. But small n is constant. But capital A, area of cross section will vary. Thick conductor, very small, narrow conductor you take. Capital A will vary, but small n is constant. Copper means it is constant. You may take any shape of conductor. So n is constant for a particular material. Capital A will be constant for a particular conductor. If conductor they become thin like this, then capital A will vary. Okay. Now can you mark the difference between for a particular material and for a particular conductor? So this is the relation between current and drift velocity. Okay. So this is a 3 mass derivation. Sometimes comes in exam. Now let's come to the very well known law. You have already read in your 10th class. What is that law? That is the Ohm's law. Ohm's law, everybody is known about this Ohm's law. If I'll ask you the definition of Ohm's law, you can able to tell, no problem. What is the definition of Ohm's law? Potential difference between two ends of a conductor is directly proportional to current passes through it. Or you can tell current passes through a conductor is directly proportional to potential difference between two ends. But you will not forget to write the condition. Some students forget to write the condition. What is the condition? At constant temperature, or you can tell at constant physical condition. You said only at constant temperature. Okay. At constant temperature, current passes through a conductor is directly proportional to potential difference between two ends of the conductor. But the confusion in 10th class was V proportional to I or I proportional to V. So it doesn't matter. It's not actually a question. If I proportional to V, then obviously V proportional to I. Okay? It's not a question. Don't be confused about that. So we can take anything. So let's take V proportional to I, then I also proportional to V, because I told you the definition in two ways, I proportional to I, current proportional to potential difference, or you can tell potential difference between two ends is proportional to current. How much potential difference is there? Accordingly current will pass. Then you can say when current passes through, then accordingly the potential difference we can also calculate. Okay, so V proportional to I. So if V proportional to I, then V is equal to IR. One constant I multiplied here. This is also a well-known constant called as resistance. This is called as resistance. This is your Ohm's law. Okay, so you can draw a graph between V and I. Then what happens? This is V, this is I. Proportional, directly proportional. Always you know from the 11th class, directly proportional comes means graph starts from origin. Graph starts from origin and straight line. Directly proportional. Okay. Then what is the slope of this graph? Slope provides what? I have told you repeatedly. Slope means always will take y by x. Y by x. And area under the graph means will take y into x. Okay. So now slope. Slope provides you what? Y by x, V by I is equal to resistance. Slope under this graph is equal to, slope of this graph is equal to resistance. Accordingly, you will be asked questions like this. This is A, this is B, this is the A and B are two conductors. Two conductors, which has more resistance? In exam you can face this type of question. Which has more resistance? Resistance, slope is equal to resistance. More resistance means more slope. More slope means more angle, because slope is also tan theta. More slope means more angle. So which has more angle? This one, B. So resistance of B is more than A. Okay, this is the simple question comes in exam. But if the graph will be like this, in some books you will find I here in y-axis, V is in here in x-axis. Now what happens? Also this is a straight line. But what the slope provide? I told you just before, slope is what? Y by x, V by I. So this is 1 by R. 1 by R, reciprocal of resistance. 1 by R. This is also one term you know in 10th class called as conductance. Okay, we will go to that. So this is the reciprocal of resistance I by V. This is 1 by R. Slope is equal to 1 by R. In this case, suppose the question will come A and B. Which has more resistance? Here we will see slope is equal to 1 by R. First we will see slope provides what? This is VI or IV. In exam, question come. These two questions comes in exam. You will mark what is in y-axis, which quantity is taken. Because about this. Okay. So here slope is equal to 1 by R. If you more resistance, then less slope. Inversely, more resistance and less slope. Less slope means less angle. So this one, A has more resistance. More resistance means less slope means less angle. So A has more resistance. Okay, so this is about the Ohm's law. Now we clearly will understand actually what is resistance and how we will derive this Ohm's law. In 10th class we have read Ohm's law directly. The statement teachers have told you directly. But in 12th class we will do something different. What different we will do? We will derive the Ohm's law. From where actually this V proportional to I or I proportional to V, whatever it may be, from where it comes. Let's see how we will derive this Ohm's law. Sometimes it comes as 2 marks question, derivation of Ohm's law. You see. Okay, how will derive this Ohm's law? Now let's start. I is equal to NAVDE. From this relation we will start. We know this relation just before I derived it. So NA, in place of VD we write the formula what we have derived in the lecture 1. So EV by ML into tau, this is the VT. So it's come NA E square tau by ML into V. So this is the I, then V is equal to ML by NA E square tau into I. Okay, and if this is Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, V is equal to IR. So this is your R. This one you see, this is your R. So V is equal to IR. In place of this, I am taking the constant R. So this is the constant R. I am writing here. See R. R is ml by NA E square tau. So we write it like this. We will take this one as a constant to only proves law. Forcefully we will take this is constant. No, not like that. This is constant. How? Now let's try to understand each quantity from here. M, mass of electron, always constant. L, length of conductor, constant for a particular conductor. N, small n, I told you free electron density, constant for a particular material. Okay. A, area of cross section, constant for a particular conductor. Small e always constant. Tau, relaxation time, which only depends on temperature. I have told you in the previous class. Only depends on temperature. Okay. So relaxation time. If temperature constant, then tau constant. Now you understand why in 10th class your teachers have told you at constant temperature. Now you could have understand this one in 12th class. Why teachers have told you in Ohm's law condition is must at constant temperature. Condition is must. Okay, because tau is constant at constant temperature. If temperature will not constant, this quantity, this total term will not be constant. If this one will not be constant, then your Ohm's law is invalid. V is not proportional to I. So temperature has to be constant in Ohm's law. It's a great condition for Ohm's law. Important condition for Ohm's law. Okay. So this is constant for what? This is constant for a particular conductor made up of a particular material. Only one material should be there, otherwise n value. Constant for a particular conductor made up of a particular material at constant temperature. It is not only constant. Constant for a particular conductor made up of a particular material at constant temperature. Okay. So this is constant called as resistance. This is the actual formula of resistance. Okay, so if this is constant, then V proportional R. This Ohm's law is now proved here. So this is the proof of Ohm's law. Sometimes comes in exam as a 2 marks question. It is in front of you. I hope you understand each line of this derivation. Okay, only thing you have to remember the formulas here. Otherwise you can't prove it. If you not remember the formula in physics, you can't able to do anything. You can't enter into numerical. You have to remember each formula in physics. Okay. So this is the derivation of Ohm's law. Now we come to what is this resistance actually. We'll discuss this term. What is resistance? Okay. So resistance, the formula just before we discussed, ml by NA E square tau. Just before this formula we discussed. But what is the physical meaning of resistance? You have also read lately about this in class 10th. The opposition offered by the conductor or a material or a substance to flow of electron is called a resistance. The opposition offered by a substance to flow of electron or to flow of a current is called as resistance. Opposition to flow of a current. What opposition comes? Why opposition comes? What is the cause of resistance? From where this opposition comes? I have already told you in the first lecture. When electrons move, they collide with each other. Also they collide with the ions. They collide with each other. When collision happens, their motion now resists. Now the opposition come. If there will be no collision, they will move just like I have told you, your NCC students, just like how they do the parade, they will move in straight line path, there will be no collision, then the current will be more. But electrons are not moving like this. They move in curved path, I told you, they collide with each other. Due to collision, this resistance comes. Okay, so resistance is due to the collision between electrons as well as with ions. It is the cause of the resistance. Now the question may come to your mind, if they will not collide with each other, then the current will be more. Then it will be, if the current will be more, then it will be good. It will be good, more current will pass. No, dear students, if current will be more, then it is not good for us. Resistance is required for us. If resistance will be there, then we use the electric energy. Without resistance, we cannot use electric energy. You think, suppose your river Ganga, when river Ganga flows, suppose there will be no, people will not obstruct the water. People will not obstruct the water on the way. River Ganga will start from the point and it will now go to the sea. What is your advantage? What is your advantage? In river Ganga, the water will flow from the starting point to the sea. What is your advantage? You will not get anything, the water will flow like this to the sea. But what will you get? When you will get something, when you obstruct the water, when you resist the water, then you try to obstruct the water and use it. Then that is your advantage. So resistance is required for you. Because when resistor will be there, then the electron will lose the energy. And that energy which is lost due to opposition, the energy is lost, most energy is lost due to opposition, due to collision energy is lost. That energy appears in the form of light and heat, due to which your iron works, due to which your heater works, due to which your bulb glows, your filament bulb glows due to resistance. The electronic bulb LED come, that is the different concept. Okay, now the LED is coming in the market, so that is a different concept, that is electronics. But I am telling you about filament bulb. Okay, in filament bulb, that due to resistance only the bulb glows. Okay, so resistance, I told you the definition, it is the opposition offered by a substance to the flow of electron, and the cause is due to collision between free electrons as well as with ions. Then, what is the formula of the resistance? This is the actual formula of the resistance. From Ohm's law, if you write the formula, R is equal to V by I. In 10th class, this was the formula. But in 12th class, if somebody likes to write the formula of resistance, this is the formula. Sometimes it comes in exam. Write the expression of resistance in terms of the physical constants. You have to write this formula. Don't write like 10th class students. Okay, you have to write this formula. This is your resistance. Now let's discuss. It is a scalar quantity because this is scalar, this is scalar, this is a scalar quantity. Okay, then what is this SI unit? Volt. This is volt per ampere. What is this? Very famous unit. That is ohm. Volt per ampere. This is ohm. So this one is your ohm. Okay. Then CGS unit. We can write start volt by start ampere. So this is start ohm. Or another CGS unit. R volt by R ampere. This is R ohm. Conversion is your duty. 1 ohm is equal to dash start ohm, 1 ohm is equal to dash half ohm. That is up to you. Then dimensional formula, you can easily find its dimensional formula. R, this is V by I, but V is W by Q. You know, V is W by Q you have read in the second chapter. Then now we can put VW, amount of work done, M1 into T minus 2, and Q, this is A1, T1, and this is A1. You can able to now complete it. This is the dimensional formula of resistance. Okay. So you got the complete idea about resistance, and this is the formula, actual formula of resistance. Then resistance depends on which factors of the conductor you see. So let's do one thing. M E square tau. I separate these terms. It comes L by A. See. So what is inside the bracket now? Let's do the analysis. M always constant. Small n constant for a particular material. E always constant, tau is constant at constant temperature. Now what I did? I separate the constants which depends on conductor, I separate them. Now these are the constants depends on the material at constant temperature. Whatever size conductor you can take, any size conductor you take, but this is constant. Okay, and this constant, you know what is this? This is your resistivity, or called specific resistance. Now I come to the point. Resistivity M by N E square tau. This is the actual formula of the resistivity or specific resistance, which is constant for a particular material at constant temperature. Okay, so this is the rho. Then L by A. These two depend on conductor. They will vary from conductor to conductor. So now see what happened. If this is constant, how this resistance depends on length? This resistance directly proportional to length. It is directly proportional to length. But it is directly proportional to length when A is constant. See, this one keep in mind. If A is constant, R directly proportional to L. If A is constant, remember. If A is not constant, R is not directly proportional to L. Okay, A is constant means you take a conductor from this to this, length this much. Again, if you will go here, length increase. If you will go here, length increase. But area of cross section is constant. But length increase, gradually length increase. Then resistance increase. Now see, 1 by A. R inverse proportional area of cross section. But when? If L is equal to constant, means length of a conductor constant. If you take two conductors, okay, this is a very thin one and this is suppose little more thick. Let's two conductors, thin one and thick one. So, but length is same, length constant. Then R inversely proportional to area of cross section. So which one has more resistance? Which one has more resistance? Less is area of cross section, more is the resistance. Okay, this one has more resistance, this one has less resistance. More is the area of cross section, less is the. This one has less resistance. Current can easily pass through this. Can easily pass through this, but here not. You can compare with water flow. If the pipe is a very thick one, if the pipe is now thick one, then water can easily flow through this. Similarly, the same thing happens also here. So this is the dependence of R. But what you have done in 10th class? In 10th class, you had done from the down, from below to up. You in 10th class, you had first written this formula, this expression directly, then this expression, then you have done in 10th class like this. Okay. You are done in 10th class, R proportional to L, R told you like this, R inverse proportional to A, then R is equal to 1, constant you multiply, this is rho, you have done like this. Directly you had remembered, you remember this formula like this. But in 12th class, we saw how this expressions come, so how R depends on L, how R depends on A, directly we saw the proof. Now I hope you understand. But the problem comes here. I told you when A constant, then length R proportional to L. If I take a conductor, let's just stretch it. Take this much length conductor and stretch it. You know, if I stretch the conductor, what will happen? Length will increase, but what happens to area of cross section at the same time? Decrease. Area of cross section at the same time decrease. If area of cross section will decrease, then R will be proportional to L. No, R is not proportional to L. If R is not proportional to L, then how R depends on L? Let's see. How R depends on L? If it is not proportional, then how R depends on L? Now let's see. R is equal to rho L by A. R is not proportional to L because A is not constant. I told you I stretch the conductor. Both varies. Then how is the relation? Let's do one thing. A is creating disturbance for you because A is here. As A is not a constant, so you cannot tell R is proportional to L. You cannot tell. Let's remove A from here. Okay. How I remove A? You see here. How I am removing A? Multiply L in the numerator, multiply in the denominator. Then what happened here? Rho L square. What is A into L? Volume. When the conductor will stretch, volume will not change. Volume remains constant. Volume is constant when you stretch. Then you see rho constant, volume constant. So without any hesitation, you can say R proportional to L square. Now R direct proportional to L square. I told you when A is not constant, then how R depends on L? If you stretch a conductor, R proportional to L square. Remember this one. Similarly, you see, if suppose how it depends on A, let's see. In that situation, rho L by A, you can do it like this. L, you multiply A, it come rho. This is volume. This part is volume by A square. How R depends on A? R inversely proportional to A square. When you stretch a conductor, R inversely proportional to A square. Is it right? So you could able to understand what is Ohm's law, what is resistance, on which factors it depends. So before ending this lecture, one question I had left from the first lecture. At the end, one question I had left. Now what question I had asked you? Though charge of electron is very small, but how the current is of some value, 5 ampere, 10 ampere, current is more. Current is more. That you can understand from this expression. You see, charge of electron is very less, 10 to the power minus 19. But how current comes more? Some ampere. How this happens? Because of N. If this is 10 to the power minus 19 order, this is 10 to the power plus 29 order for copper. Only for copper. This is 10 to the power 29 order. So, though electron charge is small, how current is more? Because free electron density is very large. The order of free electron density is very large. So this is the answer of this question. Again, one question I am leaving for you for the next lecture. What is that question? Question is like this. This is a conductor of some length L, area of cross section A. Suppose you stretch the conductor. If you stretch the conductor so that its length increases by 2%, what happens to the percentage change in resistance? You stretch a conductor, its length increases by 2%. What happens to the percentage change in resistance? This is my question, and I hope you will be able to do this one. So today we completed the relation between current and direct velocity, Ohm's law, resistance, on which factors it depends. Then again in the next lecture we will discuss about what we left today: specific resistance, conductance, conductivity. So in next lecture we will discuss many more terms only. Thank you.